Well, awesome right now to have Cubs President Jed Hoyer here with us. All right, Jed, day one of spring training, and we knew that going into the offseason, you were going to need to be kind of active here. Do you feel like you accomplished what you wanted to, and how busy has your phone line been?
Yeah, I mean, you always, listen, there's always plans that don't go as hoped, and you always want to do a little bit more, but I think we had a really successful offseason. We checked off the boxes we wanted to check off. We had to rebuild our bullpen. That was really important. We got a lot of arms we liked. We wanted to add another good starting pitcher. We added Cabrera. And obviously the addition of Bregman was something that we really felt strongly about. So, you never check off every box, but really felt like we had an active and good offseason. And, the energy is real here. I think there's real excitement here, and it was a fun day one.
You can feel that there's truly some unfinished business here for this team. Pitching was going to need to be addressed here in the offseason. How aggressive did you feel like you were and that you needed to be, given all the injuries that you guys had to the rotation, too?
Yeah, this is baseball in 2026. There's a lot of injuries. You need so much depth to get through the marathon, and just adding in as many arms as possible. It used to be you kind of listed off the guys 1 through 5 in the rotation, and that's how it played out. And now it's just like the ninth guy in your rotation is going to make 10 starts most of the time, and you just have to realize that that's how baseball is. And it's about getting 1,400 innings out of your pitching staff, and you have to piece it together differently than you used to in the past.
You look at the rotation right now, a lot of depth here. J-Mo was saying how there are a lot of guys that we feel comfortable with starting big league games, but how confident are you in this group when it comes to pitching and taking you guys deep in the postseason?
I am confident. I think pitching is run prevention in my mind, right? And we have good pitching. We also have outstanding defense. We have so many good defenders on the field. We're so good at preventing runs that way. And so as a run prevention team last year, we were really good, and I think we can be just as good this year. And I think that's really important. So we have really good pitchers. We also play really good defense, and I think those two things go together really well.
Shota Imanaga had a down year last season. Back here with the team, obviously accepting the qualifying offer. What were the conversations like with his camp throughout that process? And just in the offseason, too, what has he been working on to get back to form?
I had a great conversation with him today about skipping the WBC and the reasons, and I think he's really hungry. He's very proud. He had a great first year here, and then the second year was a struggle at the end. And I think he was very focused on getting back to who he is, and so he worked really hard in the offseason. He looks great right now. And then as far as the contract, it was complicated. We had a club option, they had a player option. It's hard for those things to line up really well, but we were thrilled he's back, and I love to see the hunger out of him.
Edward Cabrera, as you mentioned, a significant addition to this rotation. You gave up top prospect Owen Casey here. What convinced you that he was worth the price?
He's really talented. I think when you look at his pitch mix, his scatter plot on the mound, it's elite. He kind of made a breakthrough last year, throwing more strikes. And our pitching infrastructure and the guys that we really rely on, he's always been a darling of theirs. Just they really want to work with him. It's an elite fastball, elite sinker. His changeup is excellent. He's only 27 years old, so there's a lot to like there. But I will say, all the data supported it, and then obviously our pitching guys were always enamored with him, and we had been talking to the Marlins about him for a couple of years.
Let's talk about the bullpen, because you've completely rebuilt the bullpen here. Take me through the process of what that was like.
It was hard. We had a really good bullpen last year that we sort of pieced together on guys with one-year deals, and we knew that some of the main contributors, guys like Keller and Pomerantz, wouldn't be back. And so that was probably the hardest part of the offseason, honestly, because of the volume of arms we had to bring in. And if we learned one thing last year was that it's not an opening day thing. It's throughout the season. So we're building a bullpen to build depth and build arms throughout the whole summer, knowing that some guys won't work out, but some guys will. It's the area of our game that has the most volatility, and I think you have to respond accordingly with volume and make sure you bring in enough good arms. And we were excited to bring in Phil Maton and Hunter Harvey. We're excited to bring in Hobie Milner. We got Tealbar back, and then we have a number of other really good arms that we brought in that are turning heads in camp. So it's a volume approach to a certain extent, and it took a lot of work by a lot of people in the office to make that happen.
One of the bigger moves for you guys this offseason, obviously adding Alex Bregman here. When you add someone like him, a right-handed batter, and you have guys that bat left-handed when it comes to PCA, Bush, and Moises Barceros as well, what does that do when it comes to constructing the lineup?
Yeah, well, I think with Alex, he does so many things well. It's why he was so sought after. He plays good defense. He makes elite contact. He makes great decisions at the plate. He can hit righties and lefties. And he's also really focused on everyone in camp. He's very focused on how do you make all these guys better? How do you bring the team together? There's not a lot of guys in the game that provide that kind of leadership, and it's been fun to watch, even for a couple of days here. And like I said, he was an obvious target, and I'm excited he's in our uniform.
Looking at the infield now, you got Bregman, Swanson, Bush, Nico Horner. How important is it for you to keep that infield intact moving forward?
Yeah, no, it's a really good infield. I mean, I think certainly one of the best infields in baseball. And Matt Shaw is a player that we feel total confidence in. And one of the things we always talk about is like you can't just write out your lineup, 1 through 9, or write the positions out. You have to have real depth. And where we are right now, and then having Matt Shaw who can move around, and we'll have injuries, we'll have guys that need days off, and making sure that it's not just those 4 guys, but also Matt is able to really help out, I think is really important.
What excites you the most about this team heading into the season?
I think you said it earlier. I think we talked about unfinished business.
Okay.
In my career, some of the best seasons have come after good postseason runs, but ones that fell short. I think there's a level of hunger here that you feel. They got a taste of it last year, fell short against the Brewers in Game 5. And so I think that, to me, is really important. That's what you feel here. There's an excitement and an energy that they know we have a good team.
Yeah.
They know that the guys are back together, but also let's go further next year. And I think that's really important. Like I said, some of the best teams I've been around suffered bad defeats the year before and rebounded really well. And so it adds a hunger and an excitement and an urgency to camp that I think doesn't happen otherwise.
Expectations are obviously high. We got the chance to catch up with some of the guys in the clubhouse. They are all well aware of it as well. Do you think, though, this is the best roster in the NL Central right now?
Well, we have to play the games to find out. I think we have a really good team. I think ultimately we're competing against all of baseball ultimately, and all of the National League in particular. But it's a really good roster. It's a really good team. And the exciting thing about these days, the first day, is it's a journey. And things happen in spring training, things happen in April and May that you can almost barely remember at the end of the year. This is such a marathon. And one of the things I like about this team so much, we have great makeup. We have, so many guys are such hard workers, so disciplined in their approaches, and so dedicated to their craft that I know that, we're going to have ups, we're going to have downs, we're going to have bumps in the road always. But I know these guys are really focused on getting to the finish line in great shape. And then obviously, like I said, hopefully we can push it, farther than last year.
Lastly, I want to ask you about Kate Horton, man. His rookie season was so impressive. What do you want to see from him here in year 2? The
same, honestly. He's a guy that, you watch him in college and it was kind of fastball, great slider. And then you watch him now, the changeup has developed so much. He's added a 2-seamer. He's not as reliant on the slider anymore. He's a guy that will evolve. He's a great athlete. He's a great competitor, and I think he's going to continue to evolve and get better. So for him, I think it's just about reps. Okay. But what we saw from him until he got hurt last year was as good a second half as you can have, and we're excited to get him back out there and do it again.
Jed Hoyer, thanks so much for the time. Good luck to your
Thank
team
you.
this season.
Thank you.